Have you ever asked someone to do something but they failed to meet your expectations? Have you ever assigned action items in a meeting? You thought it was clear to everyone what needed to be done. But for some reason, that person fails to deliver or does something that you totally did not expect. In all these cases, we probably thought that the other person wasn't paying attention or just incapable. We believed they were at fault, but I believe that the source of these misunderstandings is communication and cognitive bias. Wikipedia says that cognitive bias is a systematic pattern of deviation from the norm or rationality in judgment. Individuals create their own subjective reality from their perception of the input. An individual's construction of reality, not the objective input, may dictate their behavior in the world. Thus, cognitive biases may sometimes lead to perceptual distortion, inaccurate judgment, logical interpretation, or what is broadly called irrationality. In other words, a cognitive bias is a specific way of thinking or a perspective that governs how you think and what you do. For example, a very common cognitive bias is confirmation bias. This is where a person favors facts and ideas that confirm their own beliefs. For example, if I'm arguing that intermittent fasting is good for your health and prolongs your lifespan, I only seek out information that supports this and ignore anything that would prove otherwise. Another type of cognitive bias is pessimism bias. This is where people tend to think bad things always happen to them. For example, I avoid entering any type of competition or contest because I believe that I will never win. Cognitive bias makes us believe that whatever we do and think is right. We think people act and behave a certain way based on our own reasons. A cognitive bias clouds our thinking, gives everyone an easy way to explain everything. Humans tend to want logical explanations or things to be wrapped in a neat little package. Thinking critically about things takes effort, and that's hard, right? Knowing that most, if not all of us, have some sort of cognitive bias should make us realize that we're all different. What this means is that we all do things differently. This is where communication comes in. We all need to communicate our thoughts and ideas to another person. But one person says doesn't mean the same thing to everyone. The words we process are passed through filters. These include applying our own thoughts, experiences, and cognitive biases to what we are being told. If you ever played the game Telephone, the initial message almost always never ends up the same when it reaches the last person. In this case, when those words are processed in our mind, the message has already changed. Clear communication is the key to ensure people understand what the other person is trying to say. If the message is never clear, people will never be aligned. We will never be able to understand what the other person is telling us if we do not truly understand their thoughts and intentions. When you're communicating a message or asking someone to do something, do you want to make sure the other person understands what you are telling them? If so, here are 3 tips to help you. 1. Ask them if they understand what you told them and ask them to repeat what you said back to you. 2. Repeat your message but in a different way. This can take the form of using different words, telling it through the form of a story, or you can write or draw it out. And lastly, if you ask someone to do something, check in with them from time to time to ensure that things are on track, or ask them to provide you with regular updates. We're all human and we are all different. I'm not saying we all have to act and think the same way to ensure clear communication. What I'm saying is that we need to be aware that we are different and why this happens and what we can do to communicate clearly so that the other person understands the thoughts and intentions we are trying to convey to them. If you like this video, can you help me out and subscribe to my channel? It would mean a lot to me. Thank you.